Hello, all you beautiful people. So, I just realized I never done a video about this dungeon, the Labyrinth. So, I was like, yeah, okay, why not? I'll make a little video about it. So, this video is mostly going to be about tips about this dungeon, and kind of like my strategies, and I guess like my overall thoughts about it. So, phase 1 here, it could be a little bit tricky, but it's not that bad. Pretty much you're waiting for the head to do his bounce attack, where he just plants himself in the ground. So it's targeting me right now. It's going to target one player. I like to hit the escape key to see it a lot easier. But pretty much he's going to fall down on somebody. Well, when he falls down, if he's touching anybody when he falls down, he will bounce back up. If not, then he'll just be stuck in the ground. You can do damage to him. It seems like this is a good party, so... dang, I thought we were going to get the first time. I was a little bit late there with my damage. If he does his laser attack, jump into the air, because there's going to be ground shockwaves. Yeah, so the reason why people mess up a lot on this fight is maybe there's just a lot on screen for people to see, and so they're just, like, overwhelmed. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not too hard. It can get a little bit hard now because there's lasers. Not too hard to block it. Don't go in too early, too, because if you go in way too early, I think he will not be stuck into the ground. There we go. Yeah, he's stuck into the ground. So, just to be safe, maybe wait a little bit until he's stuck into the ground. I know a lot of people who will be watching this video, like, can't even do this dungeon, but I guess you can come back to this video when you can actually do the dungeon and be like, okay, this is how I play it. This is the second fight. It's not too hard. It's more of a mob rush, but with a little bit of extra thing to it. So there's gonna be mobs all around here. The one thing you gotta pay attention for is these little turrets on the left. You can kind of see them right here. At a certain point, they will spawn in yellow orbs. We need to absorb pretty much just grab the yellow orbs. If you don't, this enemy counter will decrease by about 10 for every single yellow orb that the boss in the middle over there takes in. The problem is that if you take a yellow orb in, you will take more damage, so be careful. So I'm gonna potion kind of while I grab these, and I think hopefully the people on the other side are grabbing them. Yeah, no, see, look, we missed a bunch. We missed a bunch on the other side. It seems like this ad knows what he's doing, so I'm actually gonna go on the other side, because I feel like this ad knows what he's doing. RS what? I also might skip through in this video, just so, like, I'm not seeing the same stuff over and over again. Alright, so we grabbed all the yellow ones. Well, rather, we killed enough enemies without having him absorb too many yellow ones, and now we can just kind of hit him. Pretty straightforward now. The only problem here is that we only have a limited time to DPS. He will kind of become invincible again, and the gauge will go back to 0 if you take too long. But, again, it seems like the damage here is actually quite nice. Okay. Here we got the third phase. The third phase is interesting. So, pretty much how it works is he has 3 hands on each side. Minimum, you need to break the bottom hands. And if you have good DPS, you can go straight from the bottom hands to the head, and then work that way. If your team is not too good, I actually would recommend going for the middle hands as well, because the middle hands have this very annoying attack where they will, like, absorb you, and then they have another thing where they'll block the vulnerable part when that gets opened up. You'll see in a second here. But I think we're just going to be going for the bottom hands here, because you can do the bottom hands and then rush to the top. Oh, I think someone immediately rushed to the top. These agile people, dude. I can't. Raven not too agile. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can jump up here. It's really hard for me to see just because he's doing his ultimate attack right now, but I was able to make it up here. Ow! That hurt. Okay. We're up here, though. So just DPSing the head a little bit. Once we DPS the head, we can actually DPS his real health bar, which is his heart. So let's do that real quick. You can see the middle arm doing attacks. Okay. So the heart is now exposed. I got hit by one of the middle hands you saw there. So that's why I would want to break it if, like... Well, actually, falling is fine. So when you break the head, these little platforms spawn here, so you can get to the heart a lot easier. It's a little bit hard for me to, like, position myself well, because, like, you have this kind of, like, top platform right here, but I want to get to this bottom platform. And we got grabbed by the arm. That's another one of the attacks that the middle arm does that you just don't want to see at all. Again, that's why I personally, if the party's not looking too hot, would go for the middle hands, but I understand why they probably just want to do the bottom hands to get it over with. Ah, okay, the head came back. Head came back, gotta do that again. It's actually fine that this is probably not the best run, just so you guys can see kind of like how it could go, like how bad it could go, potentially. Bottom arms might come back. In my opinion, this dungeon isn't too bad if you have like a full party and most of them generally know what they're doing. He's about to do the power stun thing. Okay. Stop that. Okay, I think Arnie is gonna go down because I'm gonna kill his head. Alright. So the problem now is that the bottom arms came back, and the bottom arms really, they really like to defend. They really like to defend the heart. But I think a lot of other people are DPS here, so we'll be able to kill it. So that's how it goes. So the order is bottom hand, head, and then heart. Oh, also note of this. So you get 200 fragments on your first clear. The problem, and one of the things I'm going to talk about for a little bit after this fight's over, is, so take away this 200, I only got 2 fragments and 1 small fragment, which gives me 10. So technically, I only got 12 fragments in this run. The 200 is just for the first a day clear kind of thing. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, the process for the fight, for the third fight, is essentially bottom arms, head, and then heart. But if you're not too strong, I would say do bottom hands, middle hands, head, heart. Just because the middle hands have very, very annoying attacks. There's no reason you should really get the top hands. It's kind of unnecessary in my opinion. But yeah, that's how you do it. Alright, now that we talk about this dungeon and like the rewards it gives it, things like that. So my problem with this dungeon is the rewards are not very good. You see here the rewards that it can give is the accessory. The accessory is actually quite nice, as you know, it can help you with certain like tank builds and different things like that, and it sells very nicely, but it's not very useful if you're just trying to be DPS. You see these spirit stone fragments, and we saw how much we got in the dungeon. We only got 12. So these large stone fragments don't appear that often, and I've done many runs with keys and things like that, and this is just a lot of runs where you just get sometimes even just 3 fragments. Sometimes you get like 12 fragments like I got there. It's not very good for fragment farming. I think Gaze is still the best for fragment farming. Unfortunately, you just don't get many fragments, which is a big disappointment. Sometimes it will drop these stone shards with actual stats on them, but again, I don't think they drop as frequently as Gaze does, because with Gaze, you can have drop rate increase, but this dungeon, there is no drop rate increase. It's a stagnant dungeon because it's a special dungeon, it's a special baby raid type of dungeon, so there's no consistency there with the drop rate. Well, there is consistency, it's the same drop rate. But I mean, like, you can't increase the drop rate. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't increase the drop rate of this dungeon, but you can increase the drop rate of this dungeon. That's why this dungeon is better for drops. So that's kind of my problem with this dungeon, is that the drops are not that good. The only thing good about this dungeon is the title, the one I'm using right now. Fantastic title. Sealer of Plegas, one of the best titles in the game. Arguably the best title in the game. Adaptation, experience, drop rate, additional title count, random mission 10%, more damage against these monsters, and more ED. Fantastic. I'm only at like about 20, I think. Well, 34 actually. Quite nice. 34 myself. I'm not too pressed about doing it. And the reason I'm not too like, oh, I need to get this as soon as possible, is because the rewards are not that worth it. These tickets, or keys rather, the keys for this dungeon, they cost about like around 15 to 16, sometimes even 18 mil, and 18 mil is not worth 12 little fragments. They're really not worth 12 little fragments. So my recommendation to you guys who want to run this dungeon, that you're like at this level, do it, you know, whenever he pops up, do one run. If you're aiming for the title, and if you're not a whale, because like if you're a whale, you do whatever you want. If you're not a whale though, what I recommend is what I'm doing: buy 10 keys a week. More or less about 10 keys a week. That's about like 180 mils, like almost like 200 mil. Just so you can get a good amount of runs in, so you're consistently working towards the title, but you're not immediately breaking your bank as soon as possible. That's just my recommendation. You can lower that to whatever your comfortability level is. Like maybe you'll buy 5 keys a week, maybe you'll buy 3 keys a week. Get your free runs in whenever you can. Get a couple keys in, and you'll get the title eventually. It'll be pretty comfortable for you to get the title. I wouldn't like bullet for it as soon as possible. I know some crazy whales are bulleting for this title as soon as possible. I've seen about 5 people with it right now, or I've seen at least 2 people with it, and then like 3 people who are like really close that I know personally. But yeah, that's my problem with this dungeon, is that it does not seem worth it for any of the rewards. The experience is not even that good either. The only good thing is the title. So if you're just an average player, do it when you can. Buy a couple tickets per week if you really want the title. But just kind of take this casually, I guess is the point of that I'm trying to say. Just take this dungeon casually. In terms of the fight, I do enjoy the fight. I do think it can be very annoying, but as you saw there, you know, if you know what you're doing, you may get flinged around a lot, but the fight just shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take that long. It's quite enjoyable. Again, if you have a full party, you guys know what you're doing. But that's pretty much it for me. I just want to talk about this dungeon a little bit because it is the most recent dungeon, and I've never talked about it, and I have more experience with it. Overall, I like it, but I do wish that they should buff the I do hope that they buff the rewards to at least, at minimum, you should get 1 small fragment every single run. I mean, 3 small fragments every run. The problem is that you can get like one of the rewards for the bosses could be a fragment, because like each boss drops 1. So each of the bosses can just drop 1 of these, and you just get 3 for the run, and then it just sucks. It just so sucks. So minimum 3 of these should always drop, and then sometimes you drop the medium or the large, or the little equipment things. But minimum they should change it so that you always minimum each boss drops a small. Yeah, but that's my thoughts. That's it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and peace out.